walk into a men's parlor and own the place herself. I think it was a lot of fun to work with. I'll start with Coleman because he's also a vet at this thing, and you know when you work with him, he's gonna keep the ball in the air. You know what I mean? He's gonna keep it alive, and anything that you throw at him, he'll be able to bounce back at you. So we were doing all kind of stuff, and Corey can attest. How do you describe my acting work?
This is the beautiful part about Danny and Coleman, but Danielle is, and you've always been this way, just this inventive artist, and she comes with so many ideas. And sometimes I said it's like I was like, the next time she walks through that door, she's gonna be juggling dominoes. I promise you. And she'll come, but she'll bring it in. It's always connected to whatever she's doing, you know. And so I don't want to take that away. It's not that. It's always connected. But she's so good at just finding just different ways of surprising you and surprising herself too.
I love to live in that place of surprise and being okay with failing.
That's right.
You know, it's okay to not get the take right because you can try it again, but as long as you're coming from an honest place, that's all that really matters. And to me, I want to find the details of the character because that's what connects you to each other. You know, I think about when I said respect. That came from, first of all, studying and really thinking about all of the syllables. And I know for me, when I grew up, my mother would really articulate her words when she wanted me to listen. And I do the same to my husband now. And I over-articulate my words. So I do the same with respect. Because I feel like those little details really, it reminds you of something. You know what I mean? And the beautiful part too of this coming into it with Corey is that there was a built-in trust with each other. So with Coleman, you know, we got our thing because he's seasoned, but Corey and I, we got the history together, and we've failed in front of each other 100 times and seen each other when we're at our best acting, you know, moments, and we could really find some beautiful things together. And I knew anything that I threw this brother, he was going to be able to catch the ball, and as you so beautifully did with Harpo.
The beautiful part about that scene, like you said, it establishes so well the dynamics between the three of them and what we're going to see play out. Because it is a scene that really is so much about, yes, the dialogue, that volley back and forth with you two, but it's also about what you're doing, Corey, as Harpo in that scene, because he's just as in the middle as can be. What did that look like for you as you're, you know, watching, but still very actively participating?
Well, Harpo is all about, his journey is all about what isn't being said, what he's not allowed to say, what he doesn't feel he's allowed to say as a man. And that was just so important in this journey with Harpo and Sophia. A lot of times when we think about the men in The Color Purple, there's a very specific view about them. And my intent coming in was always to lift these women up first, and then as Harpo, just to make sure that we find the love, we find his song, we find that Black Boy Joy, and because it's there. You know, this man builds his woman a house. How many of us do it? You know, but there's something special about the way that they love and how they fight and how they find each other again. And so that scene is a microcosm of that. I love characters that are quiet. I love sort of like getting behind the eyes of, I say that with all of the characters that I played because it's always about the essence of who they are and just what's not being said, you know, what is he observing? And then where does he end up? You know, he finds his song, he finds his love, and I think that's important.
All right, you mentioned men not building their women houses, but so we have to talk about working then. Getting, like you said, getting that number, getting that song, it feels like one of those few times where we really get a chance to see Harpo and who he wants to be, who he imagines himself to be.
Yeah.
What were the kind of keys to that number for you?
Well, Blitz, first of all, I fought for it because they basically took all the Harpo's songs out of it. And I was like, what's going on? Y'all like it, you know? I was like, did y'all see it nice? So I was like, but anyways, I fought for it because I think, and Colin and I have talked about this a lot, but I think that Harpo should have a song, and Coleman talks about why Mr. doesn't have a song, and what that means. And so I fought for it, and finally Blitz was literally like 5 minutes, literally, we're sitting at the table, Reed, and Blitz comes in, he's like, step outside, I got the song. And I was like, now? So I go outside, he sings it for me, I come back in and I gotta sing it for the table read.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay. I'm talking about Quincy Jones, Oprah, everybody on the table read. And I'm sitting there like, okay.
Pressure's on.
And he kills it.
And,
He murders it. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But it was just that, to be able to, and something you touched on is, and I just want to highlight this because I think it's important when telling our stories as people of color. A lot of times people watch films like The Color Purple, and they think that the work and what's there comes naturally and it is easy for us.
Yes.
And it is important to remind people that this is work, this is training, this is art, this is learning, this is skill, just as much skill as it takes for anybody else. These things are not easy. I don't get up in the morning and start working and doing all that. You know, these characters don't get up and go to the places that she goes to. We don't, you know, the blues and all that stuff, it's studied. And I think it's just important because sometimes when you watch a film like this, you think, oh, well, that's just what they do. It isn't. We're tapping into something that I think is greater than ourselves. It is a part of who we are because it's part of our ancestry, but I think it's just important to note that it takes work.
As we talk about work and skill and nuance, Sophia runs the gamut. She's all things. But very specifically in that scene around the dinner table, there's this extraordinary, that's the only way to describe it. An extraordinary moment happens in the moment where she finds her joy again. How do you pull something like that off? And also, how do you pull something like that off as many times as we all know it takes for a movie?
Ooh, man, thank you for saying that. I think it does definitely start with what Corey is talking about. It is a skill set. You do have to build a toolbox. And so I feel like over the years I have been building that toolbox. One being with Orange is the New Black. Thank you. I learned pretty early the power of comedy. I learned pretty early how that can hook people's like heart chakras. And I feel like that's what I was trying to do in that moment when Sophia goes from the laughter into the cry at the dinner table. It's like, if I can get you with the laugh and bring you into that laughter, then I can hook into your heart chakra. And you can start to really see who we are and the humanity of who we are as Black women. That's all I wanted to do, is for us to say, like, I know that we look different and our struggles are different, but man, I feel her, I see her. And I feel like that's exactly what we're trying to do with our art, is to connect with other people. So I felt like that's what that moment called on, but it also called on calling on the ancestors, what I call spirit work, ancestry work. And I remember, because we had to do that scene several times over several days, and you know, you go in, you do your work, and unfortunately when you do your work in COVID, some people catch COVID, and when we first shot that, it was just Corey and myself at the dinner table. And so you're delivering all of that to
no way. You know what I mean? And then they call you back and they're like, Danielle, well, we got some more of the cast and we want to reshoot it again. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm a team player, let's do it. And then we do the scene, and we did not have everybody. We thought we had, landed it. And then they call you again. And they said, Danielle, we need you to come back. And I'm like, at that point, I did kind of looked at Bliss and I said, I'm not gonna do it. Because it takes so much. And I think that's what it goes back to what Corey is saying. It's a skill set that we have built, but it's also, it's so taxing on the body. Your body doesn't know that you're acting. Your everything, it was a lot to give and to give and to give. And I had called on those women like the Fannie Lou Hamers that have actually lived the life that Sophia has lived and who've been imprisoned, wrongfully accused. I just thought about all of those women that I met in Orange is the New Black that were actually incarcerated and told me their stories. And so I had used all of that, my grandmother and my godmother, all of their stories, and I'm like, they don't want to talk to me no more. They done with me. But I remember calling Miss Oprah and saying, they want to do this one more time, and I don't think I have it. I'm feeling very depleted, and I don't think I can deliver this. And she just reminded me, like, they are already with you, and you have everything that you need. And that's when I go back to, like, what we do is so much greater than ourselves, and it's really not about us. And I kept thinking when I was asked to do this scene one more time, if those women, when I saw this, Broadway show in 2005, when I witnessed The Color Purple and was inspired to do this for a living, if those women would have gave me 50% that day, I don't know if I would be here today. So I said, Danielle, you got to give everything you have, because what you're doing is really helping set up someone else for their purpose. So that's
That's, as you said, what this is. It is purpose-driven work. And I think, you've done a lot of these. We've been together on this journey. As you now come, I guess, maybe not full circle in your purpose, but as you kind of start to experience other things and experience other characters, what part of Sophia and Harpo and Celie are you all taking with you?
Thank you, girl. Soon to be over here and over here too. Okay? I took so much stuff from her. I've talked several times about how she's helped me to own my power. I went through a lot of imposter syndrome, if you hadn't heard the story, when I was doing the Broadway version of this, really just battling myself of, am I worthy of this moment? And playing Sophia has taught me that, but also I feel like in this moment, to much is given, much is required, right? And so I feel like I've been given and blessed with a lot, but it also comes with a lot. And she's given me resilience. She's shown me that, like, the same way that Sophia, had lost her spirit, her umph and joy for life, there's been moments that I have felt that way about this art form, and I've wanted to quit and give up. But I just know that she's taught me resilience and to keep going. And so that is one of the biggest gifts that I'm really grateful for to have gotten from Sophia.
Harpo, he's taught me a lot. And it's crazy because while you're working on, the characters, they speak to you, but they speak to you in a different way after you let them go. And so it's helped heal my relationship personally with my father, who came to the premiere It's the first time ever seeing or being in anything like that with me, and so I appreciate that. But I learned to love Harpo, and it's just taught me to love my characters a little bit more. And it's also taught me that because it is taxing and because this work takes a lot from us and demands a lot of us, to be very selective about the things you say yes to, and be very clear about the things you say no to, because they are part of who we are. And so Harpo has the things he says yes to, things he says no to in his journey. It's been beautiful for me to live in that, and now I just want to take that with me moving forward. I'm just blessed to be able to do, the things that I do. So.
I think I'm taking from Celie this idea that kindness is a form of resistance. Because I've talked about, in some interviews, that I think one of the most heroic actions in the film is when Celie brings Sophia dinner at the jail cell, and what consequences could have and probably should have looked like for her back then, but she did it anyway and showed up every single week. And I know that Celie has really opened my heart to finding more empathy and more love and more care for people. And really what she's taught me is that it starts at home, and it starts with me, and finding space to be kinder to myself and loving myself more, taking on this role. There's a narrative around it. There's a narrative around the beauty, being dark-skinned, being the sister that's not chosen, being worked like a pack mule. And as they said, your body doesn't know, it's not real, so I definitely felt that a lot filming, but just having to keep going and having to get to the end, because I know this is someone's lived experience, and someone, somewhere, some little girl, some woman, some man is going to relate to this and see the light at the end of the tunnel because of my work, but I can't do that work unless I'm giving myself a lot of grace and a lot of love and a lot of kindness. That's what I'm taking from her.
Grateful to hear how
I want to know what you thinking.
No, well.
I really felt that the question was specific to acting in the
But Tiffany, I don't think you're getting off totally easy though, because I am curious what you took from this experience of being in that casting room before that first table read, seeing these incredible headshots all lined up together, and recognizing that that this is like a superhero lineup. What is it that you took away from that experience that you're going to carry into building your next ensembles?
I'm not saying this to be funny, but truthfully, one of the things I realized is how amazing it was, and I'm going to get emotional, to put this cast together and to do it almost entirely virtually. It's one of my biggest regrets, actually, because the few times that we got to actually be in the room with Liz, I think Liz was on a Zoom but we were together with Hallie. Meetings were had virtually on Zoom, Liz was in Atlanta, and I just, every time we were in the room, I thought, God, I wish we were getting to do everything in the room together, because it was so amazing, the energy of even auditions, people who didn't get cast, there was still, the work they brought in the room was incredible. It was so beautiful, and I remember just feeling like, I cannot wait till COVID is over and we can get back in the room. That's a big takeaway, but also the imagination, the belief we had in the talent we were seeing, even though it was virtually. We could see through those obstacles and still find the truth, which is, and I think the best cast, I'm just really, really proud of this cast. So I'm really proud of us, and especially Blitz for his first film of this size, to make those decisions over Zoom and Zoom again and more Zooms, and I don't know, I'm really proud of him that he.
Yeah. Our
to
entire,
accomplish this.
our entire creative, everybody, honestly, the crew, you think, you know, we're the front, you know, we come out and do the Q&As but there's just so many people who became family for us. And we all know this from working on sets and what that means, you know. You spend hours working with these people and they pour their love into the wigs and the costumes and the dirt, you know, grades, you know, all of that. Like it's honestly astonishing. The machine is too, you know, overworked, but the
Well,
family.
an ensemble,
Yeah,
right? It's an
Yeah,
ensemble.
big ensemble.
We all have to play a machine when we're in drama school, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, when we wanted to. Was it just me? You're like, I'm gonna go like this.
Because you
and
make
then
grass
I'll-
too,
Yeah.
we're playing cows and horses, yeah.
Machine is good because if one cog doesn't work, the whole thing falls apart. And there was not a single rusty cog in this color purple wheel. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.